Thank you for tuning into Single, Celibate, and Unemployed. And I'm your host, Lacine Safari. And today's topic is, why are you single? Here's the real reason why I'm single, honestly. So I remember several years ago, I was living with my mom and I was in the kitchen. And usually I'm always talking to God out loud. I'm like, God, since you're God, right? Who is he? Guy I'm supposed to end up with? Are we supposed to treat our lives like bumper cars? Like, boop, oh, I think it's you. No, oops, no, oops, oops. So we go through our entire lives like bumper cars. Does that mean there's the one? I don't know if there's just one. In a fasting, because I was just like, who is he, God? Or what is he? All that good stuff. And is he gonna have the same password and be like 55263? You know what I mean? And I'm like, that's the one. But yeah, so it's always been a thought in my mind. Who am I gonna annoy for the rest of my life? I ended up fasting for like a week. After fasting for a week, I didn't get any answers. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't know what you're talking about, God. I'm done. I tried. That Saturday, actually, I ended up having this really deep conversation with my mom. And we're talking about personal things and things of that sort. And she was just like, in one of the in the conversation, she's like, I'm worried about you. I'm concerned who you end up with. I'm like, Mom, don't worry about who I end up with, because mothers and parents are to be concerned with who their children or child take on as lifetime partners. And long story short, she went to her room, I went to my room. But I ended up coming back out of my room. And I ended up just being like, you know what, God? I put my hand, you know what? Let her know I'm taken care of. Then afterwards, Sunday came around. We ended up going to church on Sundays. Then I feel like the whole service went, I'm gonna use the word haywire. Like the Holy Spirit was just moving and ministering to people, specifically to their situation and circumstances. The minister ended up just talking to my mom specifically about what she was going through and what was taking place and what we spoke about the previous night. Like so clearly that my mom looked at me as if I told someone some secrets. And I'm like, no, Mom, I didn't. Someone's like, where is this going? It's going somewhere, don't worry. Then later on in the service, I don't remember what the topic was about. I ended up going up for prayer. The pastor ended up prophesying over my life who my husband will be or things of that sort. I was like, why do you get to know? At first I was like, I don't want you to know. I was like, I fasted. I want God to tell me from his mouth to my ears. I didn't want any intermediate person. But that was just like me wanting to just know and not want anyone involved. And so I ended up just like, that's weird, but I took notes anyways. Like with like a prophetic word, it's like, does that mean it's coming soon or it's gonna be 50 years from now? For sure, years has gone by and this dude hasn't shown up, right? But the funny thing is though, I've been interested in other guys. And I remember just a couple times, I'm like, you know what? The prophetic word was in the back of my mind. And I was like, I'm still gonna date until this guy, whoever this guy, shows up in my life. Because I ended up moving to another state. So I ended up going to a different church, different pastor, all that good stuff. One day I ended up going to a family fun day. A friend of mine invited me to. It has no religious affiliation of any sort. And I brought another friend along with me, like, oh, it's free food, free fun, all that good stuff. And I was telling her about the guy I liked. And she's like, I don't think he's good for you. I think you should choose someone else. And I was like, no, I like him. You know, like, don't tell me what to do or who to choose, baby. No, but and while we're at the family fun days, I was convinced, like, I'm gonna talk to this guy, right? He wasn't there, obviously, but I was gonna call him and be like, yeah, let's start hanging out more often, things of that sort. And so I saw these little kids hula hoop, and I'm like, oh, I haven't hula hooped in so long. And so I went over to the hula hoop, and the DJ, he's just like, go ahead, competition, you know, I'm trying to beat these little kids, these kids are beating me. And I'm still hula hooping though. And so in the midst of hula hooping, the man was like, God said, wait for your husband. And I was like, no, you're not talking to me. You're not talking to me. You know when someone tells you something specifically, it's like the Matrix, like you just start dodging words. And I'm like, nah, you're not talking to me. And then he literally stopped the music. And he's like, you, pointing at me into the audience, God said, wait for your husband. And I was like, okay. And I looked at my friend, she's like, I told you he's not for you. The DJ ended up continuing playing the music. He hopped off the stage, and then he's like, by the way, yeah, like I really got that strong in my spirit for you to wait for your husband. And I was just like, okay. So that was years after the pastor said something to me, and this is a random event. Then like throughout the years, I've had like different prompting of waiting. So even though I want to commit to a relationship with certain guys, or I like them, there's always this thing in the back of my mind I'd be like, wait. That's been a pain in the butt. Like, no pun intended. Like it's interesting because I don't know who else has ever gotten a word from God through a prophet or through someone who'd be like, your husband is going to look like this, he's going to have this, that. So clarity and confirmation into what was. Because there are moments where I'm just like, I don't want to wait anymore, I'm done. And that's my answer when I'm frustrated, I'm done. And it's just like, I don't want to wait. I look weird, okay? I look weird waiting, and who else is waiting? Everybody else is clashing up against each other and getting divorces left and right, you know? But still, I want to be part of it. And so, and yeah, so it was just like, wait. And I'm like, what does that look like? And it's funny because years prior, even in the prophetic word, the pastor said everything to my mom. He's like, don't worry about this one, referring to me. She's taken care of. And then he said to me, after he gave me the prophetic word in regards to what my husband will look like, or he said, you will know when you see him. Because remember, I was so concerned with like passwords. I'm like, how will I know? We go on in life as if everything makes sense, and people run into marriages and none of them expect to get divorces, but it's over 50%. And so for me, when it comes to relationships, it's like, okay, God, I need some divine intervention because I don't understand what's happening with relationships. I don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I won't pretend like I know exactly what I'm doing. It's just that when I see people, I don't think they know what they're doing. I feel like a lot of people just pretend to know what they're doing. So I'm just going to be like, I'm the one in the class, like, I don't get it, you know? And so that's the underlining reason as to why I'm still single. I believe God has someone for me. It doesn't mean he's perfect. It doesn't mean I'm perfect. It doesn't mean he's the one. Like, I don't know, he might die first, I might die first, might die together, I don't know. But the point is, I just feel like there's a greater purpose when it comes to God and when he puts people together. It's not like compatibilities, similarities. Oh, you like green, I like blue. Oh, you're a Scorpio, you're a Virgo. Oh my goodness. I don't know if those two get together. But the point of the matter is, what God put together, let no man separate. And so many times we want to blame God because he takes so long. You ever been like, God, you take long? Like, it's like a little kid telling his mom, like, Mom, it takes long for you to make food. It's like this little boy. No, but it's just like, God, you take a long time. But really sometimes, and honestly, I have slowed down the process because I doubted that he had, like, someone was from, like, I begrudgingly slept with someone because I was like, I don't want to wait anymore. And it wasn't like, oh, and then afterwards I was like, what the hell was this? I'm like, ugh, I'm going back to being celibate. And people just like, it's just sex. No, it can't be a detour. So being connected or even having sex with someone it can definitely not only detour you, but also hinder you and just be like a blockage for what's next for you in your life. I'm not saying sex is bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying a lot of times you're taking on the person's spirit, you're taking on the issues, circumstances, and a lot of people are paired with people that's not for them, and they're just going around casually having sex with this person, with that person, with this person. Oh, free will, free love. Healthcare is expensive, so it's not free. If you get pregnant, it's not free. If you get an STD, it's not free. So everything costs your time. And so for me, I'm now in a state in my life where I'm just like, okay, God, I'm here. I'm not going left. I'm not going right. I'm just going to stay straight and trust you. With what you have for me and not feel like I have to do things in my own timing or just depending on my own strength or trying to blend in because people may be married with kids or whatever. They have kids that they probably don't even like. So that's the reason why I'm single, because I'm waiting for the man God has for me and not settling for any less or being rushed by society because you feel like at a certain age you're supposed to have this and pop kids out before 30. You have to get married. Like, everything has this time frame, and not everyone operates on that time frame because now you got to force to get this and force that and all of us are straining to keep our lives together, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want a cohesive life intertwined with God in it and not something I'm forcing to keep together. So, and not for me to settle or feel unworthy, insecure, comparing myself to anyone else. And in the midst of all that, it has taught me that I am enough. Like, there is no one that's going, and I don't want anyone to misinterpret as, oh, you're looking for someone to complete you, or you're looking for this, or you're wishful thinking. Call it what you may. We'll see in a couple years. We'll compare notes later in life and see where this takes me. And so I'm whole and complete and lacking nothing. You're waiting for someone to come on a white horse to come save you. You're not in distress. And I would definitely urge you to seek God for your next relationship. Even try fasting, asking God for what's next for you. Yeah, so whoever's watching, God has someone for you, and you don't have to worry about who's next. Because that's a lot of things, like who's next. The real thing is God has a purpose for you, and that person can help you go and attain that purpose, or fulfill that purpose. So you'll hear a word from him, definitely. It may not come in the form you want it in, but it's definitely coming.